What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about one of the top available free agents. So let's get it started. Welcome in, everybody, to another video. Glad you guys are here. And today we're talking about the edge rusher from New York, Markus Golden. Yes, one of the top free agents still available. Now, before we get this thing started, I want to let you guys know that there is a poll in the community where I'm asking you guys to vote on which videos or which type of videos you guys would most likely want to watch. Those are things that I'm interested in doing to expand this channel. First, we're a Lions channel. That won't change. However, I am looking to expand and do some more things. And those are just a few things that I'm interested in trying. Like, obviously, Michigan. I'm a big Michigan fan. So Michigan State fans are like, no, thank you. But I would love to talk about Michigan, so maybe we'll do that. Tigers, hey. I don't really follow baseball like that, but I think it would be a really cool way to start following baseball and really get into the Tigers a little bit, maybe meet some new people. So I think that'd be really awesome. And then, I have like college prospects on there because I love looking at prospects. I love the draft so much. It's just kind of weird when you're so far out. So what I thought of doing is kind of to try to do that a little bit here is take a look at some of the top available free agents. And we will determine whether or not the Lions should go sign him, but not only the Lions, every NFL team, right? If you're an NFL fan, whatever fan you are, and you want to hear about Markus Golden, maybe you want your team to sign him, maybe you don't want your team to sign him, maybe you want him off the Giants, maybe you want him back to the Giants, this video is for you. And I think if you guys do enjoy those, make sure you click the like button. That way I know you guys want to see more of these and I will make more prospect videos. Now, personally, I can't rank Markus Golden to every other free agent available because I haven't looked at every free agent yet. I've looked at a lot of edge rushers, Jabal Sheard, Everson Griffin, Jadeveon Clowney, and now Markus Golden. However, I can't really rank where he would fit amongst, free agents. So, that's going to be kind of tough until we really see every player. Maybe I could rank him amongst edge rushers, at least the ones I've seen so far. Maybe we'll do that at the end. I'm not sure. But I really didn't plan to do that. But let's talk about Markus Golden a little bit. So if you first look at Markus Golden's stats from last season, you're going to look at those and be like, oh my gosh, this guy's an absolute animal. Why has he not been signed yet? Because last year's stats were very, very good. He signed a $4.75 million deal, or at least that was the cap hit for the Giants last season, on basically a prove-it type of deal. They were like, hey man, you're going to be 29 years old. We want to see what you can do. We're going to give you a 1-year deal and you have to prove that you're a good player. You have to prove what you can do. And last season, statistically, he definitely did that. Playing in all 16 games, he had 10 sacks, 72 total tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 27 quarterback hits on 93 blitzes, by the way. That's a lot. 14 quarterback knockdowns and 44 pressures. Those numbers look really, really good. And if you look at those, you would say, okay, I think he proved himself. Now, I do want to point this out really quickly. There is rights in his contract right now where if he doesn't sign elsewhere before July 22nd, he will end up back with the New York Giants. So if you're a Giants fan, you want him back, well, they got about 3 weeks. So if no one signs it within 3 weeks, he's going to be back with you guys. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Now, it is harder probably to sign for you just now because you may not be able to get physicals or may not be as easy to, get in touch with guys or get close to them. However, we've seen it done. We've seen it done with some players. We saw it done with Cam Newton just recently. So it can be done. It just may not be the easiest thing. However, if a team does want to snag Markus Golden, they got to do it pretty soon because he will be a Giant once again. So let's talk about Markus Golden. So seeing those numbers when I first looked at it, I'm like, wow, this guy's a beast. This guy is an absolute beast. And while I still watch him, I don't think he's bad. I would say I definitely wasn't as typed up when I was done watching the games that I watched. So I watched about 3 full games of Markus Golden, and I got done and I said, okay, yeah, I'm not that impressed. He wasn't bad. He wasn't terrible. And I think there's some good things that can fit some teams. And we'll talk about whether or not I think he'd be a good move for the Detroit Lions because some people want to add another pass rusher. If you're a Lions fan, that's probably the one spot you're looking at is, hey, if the Lions want to go get any free agent, it's probably a pass rusher. A lot of people like Everson Griffin. But what about Markus Golden? So let's talk about my strengths and weaknesses, the pros and cons, the good, the bad that I took away. Let's start off with the strengths, the pros, the goods first. All right, let's start with those. The first thing is his versatility. Markus Golden has a little bit of versatility. He is 29 years old and he's pretty athletic. He's got some versatility to play both on the D-line and off the ball, okay? He can play on the D-line and off the D-line. He really just moves between edge rusher positions, right? His stances will change. Sometimes he can bounce in the inside of the defensive line. It's not very often. A little bit of versatility, okay? He can flip-flop to both sides. I think I saw him play a lot, kind of like a left end across from the right tackle. So, that's kind of where I see him. A little bit of versatility. He's not like, I don't know if he's necessarily like Clowney. I would say maybe a little bit less than Clowney, but he's not stuck in one spot. So you can move him around a little bit depending on the defense that you play. I think if you play him in a 4-3, he may be a tad undersized, but he does get on the line, so I think he'd be okay. And he's really good for a 3-4. So I think if you're running a 3-4 or multiple D like the Lions, he could fit in pretty well there. So those are my thoughts. Kind of like a little Jack roll, kind of like a Devon Kennard. That's what he kind of reminded me of. So that's the first thing that I took away that I like. I like that. I like seeing the versatility in players. Now let's talk about the next thing is he's basically an athlete. I mean, we know all NFL players are athletes, but he's definitely an athlete. Like, he can stick out amongst the rest. Now, I don't think he's the athlete that Jadeveon Clowney is. I do think at 29 years old, he looks pretty nimble, right? He looks pretty quick, and he has some top end speed. He has some quickness. Sometimes he'll flash off the ball, and he'll be like, "Oh snap! Hey, look, he just made a really good jump with the ball." Sometimes he's slow, but I would say in general, he has some pretty good speed. He's like a speed rusher. He's not bad. He's pretty athletic. I would say all around, this guy's probably a pretty good athlete. Okay, I'm sure you could just pull him at and take him to a gym, and he would be fine because this guy is pretty much an all around athlete. So I would say that's great. That's always something that you're looking for, and it's not always the easiest thing to teach, but it's not always the most important thing when you're looking at NFL players. The next thing that I like is his ability to tackle. Now, I don't think he's the biggest hitter, but I do think he's a pretty secure tackler. And not only am I saying that, but stats will also back up that stat. With that, he only had one missed tackle on all of his tackles last season. So that stat alone kind of shows you what you need to know. It's like a 3% because there's one missed. However, when you watch him, he's a pretty secure tackler. Now, sometimes he will make the wrong decision. Sometimes you'll put him in a pickle where, it's an option and the quarterback can keep it, or you can give it to the running back, and he'll make the wrong decision. He'll try to make a big play in the backfield. He'll miss out. They disguise it pretty well, and it'll end up being a play that he misses on. However, in general, he's a pretty secure tackler. Once he gets his hands on the player who has a football, he's usually going to bring them down. He may not light them up, but he's usually going to bring them down. So he's pretty secure in that way. So there's not a lot of big concerns, I would say, with, oh snap, is he going to be like, getting his tackles broken? Is people are just going to be running over him? No, not at all. Just at the edge against the run pretty well as well, I would say. Okay, he's pretty good at setting the edge against the run, and that's definitely important. Okay, he's always got his eyes open for that. He doesn't, just let that thing go and just kind of guess. He's always got his eyes open. He'll follow the running back to the outside, even if it's a play action, to make sure. So he's a smart, intelligent player. All right, he's not going to give up many big plays. He's a good, smart player, and he sets the edge no matter what. You can see in his stance, he'll line up differently depending on, what the running back will do. And a lot of times they don't necessarily come near him. He's pretty good against the run. He's a pretty good player against the run. And that was something I was a little surprised. I wasn't expecting that. I thought he was more of a run stopper than I really assumed coming into the video. Again, there are a couple mistakes with misses, but hey, that happens. Sometimes you make the wrong decision. But overall, tackling wise, he's pretty good. Now let's talk about the things that I was kind of unimpressed with. And while I don't think he's a bad pass rusher, because what bad pass rusher has 44 pressures and 10 sacks? Not many. However, I do think a lot of those came from one, blitzing a ton. Not him alone, but the whole defense. They did some jailbreak blitzes where it was just like 7-8 guys coming at the quarterback, and it was like, oh my gosh, there are tons of guys coming. And other sacks, even if you go watch his highlights, you will see is when a quarterback literally just held on the ball way too long. And I'm not trying to take his numbers away from him, but I am trying to say that, hey, I wasn't super impressed. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, this guy is unstoppable. I do think there's a little bit of a reason why he has not gotten signed yet, and he probably won't get a huge deal, because he's not the most consistent pass rusher, like at all. He barely ever popped on my screen as a guy that's like, oh snap, watch out, he's back there, the quarterback. A lot of times, he's getting pushed out of the play by offensive tackles. He usually couldn't overpower an offensive tackle. Here and there, he would catch them off their balance, and he would run them over, but for the most part, he wasn't catching an offensive tackle off balance. He had a limited pass rush moves, which really concerned me. That's what I look for. I want to see that technique. If you're a pass rusher, I want to see you mix in some different moves. You want to see you set something up. I didn't see that. I never saw him set anything up. It's just like he was consistently just running straight and trying to get around the edge. And a lot of times he was pushed behind the quarterback and he had no impact. Even some of his stacks came that way where he was pushed out of the play and the quarterback would hold on too long and he would get back into the play. That's where the athleticism came into play, was getting back and, making some snaps off the ball and just beating the offensive tackle. But consistently, I didn't see him making a lot of moves. And that's a very big concern. Whenever you look at a pass rusher coming out of college, wherever, you want to see them mix in different moves, be able to have different styles. Sometimes they go to a bull rush. Sometimes they go to a swim move. Sometimes they use a spin move like Everson Griffin. You want to see different moves. And with Markus Golden, I just didn't see a ton. I just didn't see a ton, which kind of concerned me a little bit. He doesn't drop in the coverage often, which is something that's, it makes sense. The position that he plays, the way he's utilized in the 3-4 defense, kind of like Devon Kennard, rarely ever dropped in the coverage. But keep that in mind. If you're going to have a guy like that doesn't drop in coverage very often, there's not always a threat. So sometimes, the offense will look to take advantage there and use screens. But his athleticism against screens, I will say, is pretty good because, again, since he's such an athlete, he's able to kind of recover on those plays. But in coverage, that's not where you want him. You don't want this guy in coverage. I think he was targeted like one time the whole year. They usually didn't throw to him a lot. It was just him dropping into a flat route, take away a running back. But most part, you don't want this guy in coverage. You don't want this guy manning up anybody. That's not what he does at a high level. So I will say that. I think he has a slow release at times off the ball. Like I said, he shows some flashes, but consistently, I wouldn't say it's anything that's like, whoa, hey, watch out for that guy. I mean, he's timing that thing up. I didn't love it. I was a little bit I was a little bit kind of let down. I was like, okay, that's not exactly what I was expecting. And while I don't think he's a bad pass rusher, if you sign him, okay, great, we can use him in certain situations. But for me, I don't see the Lions bringing in Markus Golden because Markus Golden is a very similar player to Devon Kennard, which you guys remember who we cut. We brought in Julian Okwara, so he's very similar to Julian Okwara to me. And for me, if I'm looking for a situational pass rusher, this might be the guy because you can get him kind of cheap, but I think that's where Austin Bryant and those guys are going to come in. I think that's where Matt Patricia wants to use those guys. And plus, with his inability, or what we really haven't seen, him drop into coverage, that may not be something that Matt Patricia wants because Matt Patricia may have moved on from Devon Kennard because he literally could not drop into coverage and cover anybody. We've seen Okwara do it here and there, not a ton, but here and there. So for me, with a defense that doesn't use too many defensive linemen, okay, with a defense in Matt Patricia, they use a lot of linebackers at times. I like our depth that we do have there. I think we have some unproven players, but for me, Markus Golden, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, maybe a really cheap contract, you could use him at times, but for the Giants, he wasn't situational. I mean, he was coming every single play, he was on there for a lot of snaps for the Giants. And for me, for a Lions fan, I don't love it. Now, if you have like no pass rushers and you need someone to consistently get to the quarterback that's a little bit versatile, that has, a little bit of athletic ability, he's probably not super expensive, then Markus Golden may be your guy to take, a chance on, maybe for a short-term deal. But for me as a Lions fan, I'd probably say no. I'd rather go after a guy like Everson Griffin. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if he wants to play here or not. I'm not going to get into that because I had no idea. However, I don't think he's bad. I just wasn't expecting... I don't know. I was expecting a lot looking at the numbers. And I think he's solid. He blitzes a ton. That's his job. He comes to the quarterback. He's kind of like Kennard. And I didn't think Kennard was great either. But I feel like I like Kennard a little bit more, honestly. I feel like I like Kennard a little bit more. So while I don't think he was awful and I think he can fit some teams for Lions, I would pass. That is Markus Golden. Let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think about Markus Golden? That's just my thoughts from the 3 games that I watched. So if you guys got different thoughts, definitely leave them in the comments below. If you guys want to see another one of these, make sure you let me know who to see next. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.